Mentos, the fresh maker.
Ready for Mystery Science Year 3000 tomorrow? What do you think? Yeah, I was a little excited to watch the return of MST3K. Now, I don't say this about shows this often, but I'm just happy that this revival exists. A brand new season of Mystery Science Year 3000 is something that Misties have been asking for years. And sure enough, we got it thanks to the Kickstarter announcement from Joel Hodgson himself on November 10th, 2015. Thus, in December of the very same year, the Kickstarter reached its goal of 14 brand new episodes with a grand total of $6.3 million. Then on April 14, 2017, Mystery Science Year 3000 made its return on Netflix. You already know what I feel about this since I made 2 videos discussing both the trailer and the season as a whole in a vlog style review. So this may come as a shock to nobody, but I love this season. I've watched the whole thing about 3 times now. Just wanted to point that out before I inevitably start gushing. Now for this review, I'm going to be using footage from the DVD set of the season. It is in standard definition, but I did try my best to make it passable for you guys. So, without further ado, let's wrap up this week by taking a look at Season 11. We begin with a prologue in space, as we meet Jonah Heston, played by Jonah Ray. He works at Gizmog Institute, just another mug in a yellow jumpsuit, as a bagjack driver where we see him returning with a load of valuable meteorites. But on his way back, he receives a distress signal from Moon 13, thus he lands on the moon to help, only to find out it was a trap devised by Kinga Forrester and TV's son of TV's Frank, or Max for short, played by Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt, who capture Jonah, places him on the resurrected satellite Love, and forces him to watch cheesy movies, the worst they can find. Kinga's plans to continue her family's greatest experiment, Mystery Science Year 3000, but unlike her father and grandmother who wanted to take over the world, she wants to sell the profits to Disney for $1 billion. I honestly really like how the season starts with a little prologue because we get a little bit more backstory of Jonah and turns out to be at the worst place at the wrong time. And also, the only thing of backstory we've gotten in the past was during the opening theme.
We work at Gizmonic Institute, just another face in a red jumpsuit. He did a good job cleaning up the place, but his bosses didn't like him, so they shot him into space. They hired a temp by the name of Mike, just a regular Joe they didn't like. Their experiment needed a good test case, so they conked him on the noggin and they shot him into space. They try to survive the wrath of Pearl, just an evil gal who wants to rule the world. From her castle below, she sets her sights above, just to torture all her captives on the satellite of love. Get me down!
So since Jonah is sent up to the SOL, that means he's introduced to the robot pals we all know. Cambot, Gypsy, Tom Servo, and knowing that the original voices wouldn't be here, that also means the bots are voiced by new people. Gypsy's voiced by Rebecca Hansen, Crow is voiced by Hampton Yount, and the only one I wasn't a fan of at first was Baron Vaughn as Tom Servo.
Sorry, my partner's a bit of a hothead. Hey, how'd you like a candy bar or soda? How about something creamy?
I'm fine, thanks.
It kind of reminds me of Josh Weinstein when he voiced a character during the KTMA series all the way through Season 1. It was very hard to get used to a new voice for Tom because, let's face it, no one can top Kevin Murphy as the voice. He's been playing Tom starting from Season 2 all the way through to when the show ended.
Jonah, give me huge grasping arms. My current design is less than optimal for Rock Hudson-style woman capturing.
And after a while, I got used to the new voice. And besides, I had to, right? Although I will say the person who was perfect for a part was Hampton as Crow. I've seen a little bit of his stand-up on YouTube, and I think he's hilarious. The voice he gives him is a mix of both voices that Trace Beaulieu and Bill Corbett have given him in the past.
My monster movie is more for a mainstream audience. A wacky comedy about growing up when you're already 200 feet tall. There's a scene with the whole monster family cracking jokes, and they're all played by Eddie Murphy. And of course,
I love
the whole
Eddie
thing,
Murphy.
Brozilla will be a hit of the summer, creating synergy within between all of our corporate subsidiaries. Next up, sequel, baby.
Becca Hansen as Gypsy is okay, but like Baron as Tom, it took some time to get used to. Well, at least it's better than
Bigfoot.
Pelting the Nina, the Pinto, and the Santa Maria.
Santa Claus.
whatever that was. As for our test subject himself, Jonah, I knew that I would like him as early as the very first episode.
We really were hoping for more of a combination of Joel and Mike, which I think would be a lot like TJ Miller.
But we got you instead, and that hasn't been so bad.
Just like how Joel is a father figure and Mike is more like an older brother to the bots, Jonah is on the lines of being either a stepfather or an uncle to them. And I can totally see it.
Jonah, what are they doing to that android?
They're just playing with him.
Do they think he's full of candy?
Yes, they do.
And then there's the mutants, the poor, starving mutants who tear apart innocent androids who didn't even want to fight them, but were programmed to.
Hey, it's all right, guys. Hey, who wants ice cream?
You monster! You can't fix everything with ice cream, but I would like some ice cream.
But now it's time to talk about the biggest part of MST3K, the riffing. And, well, when it gets halfway through the season, it's pretty good. But when the season started, it was a bit iffy. This was my biggest complaint when I first watched the season last year. The riffs in the early episodes had a rapid-fire pace to them. The biggest example of this was Reptilicus.
Are we suddenly in Chicago?
Die, 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 die.
All right, everybody, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to us. Boom!
You might say that they're doing it so they can get even bigger laughs out of the audience. But while you're laughing, they're still making jokes, which will make you have to rewind to hear what they said, which is a constant inconvenience for these early episodes. However, when it gets to the 5th episode of the season, they do get to a much natural pace for the riffs. The movie selection for the season was very good too, and was able to give them some pretty great material for Jonah and the bots.
Make yourself at home.
Dick.
This speech is my recital. I think it's very vital. To rock, that's right. It's tricky is the title. Oh my gosh, sorry, you're sleeping, Dad. Oh.
Danny looks on with the cold, dead eyes of a serial killer. Chad, look out! Whoa, be careful, Trey.
God, don't hurt yourself, Bryce. Remember, we've got crew team in the spring, brah.
I meant to do that.
Better go change my Facebook status to orphan.
Let me go.
That's my purse. I don't know you. I feel like I'm watching a community theater production of Guardians of the Galaxy.
There you are, my friend. Match. A match.
Don't you know what this stuff does to your body?
I mentioned back in my tribute to MST3K that some actors have had interest in being a cameo for the show's revival. And thus we got episodes with guest stars like Neil Patrick Harris, Jerry Seinfeld, Joel McHale, and... But yeah, a few celebrity cameos is fine. I guess it can't get better than this. Wait a minute. I recognize that Volkswagen. No, it can't be.
It's Grandma! What? Grandma! Bobo, brain guy, you came!
Oh my god, it is! It's Pearl, Bobo, and Brain Guy. They even have Mary Jo File, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy. When I first saw this in the 2nd episode of the season, I had the biggest and dumbest smile on my face. Even though the Bobo costume kinda looks weird, but it's still cool to see them. Not to mention that the original MST3K writer, Paul Chaplin, came back to reprise his role as an observer for the season finale, which we'll get to later on. Seeing some familiar faces in the new season was great. Imagine if, say, Joel made a few cameos in the episode. Oh my god, it's Joel! Well, seeing how Joel is directing this season, he does make small cameos in some of the episodes, like being one of the scientists from the Time Travelers, and as Santa Claus in the Christmas episode.
Baby Whipple needs changing.
Oy vey, not again.
Oy vey? Santa, are you Are you Jewish?
Of course I am. I'm a manufacturer and distributor of children's novelties. I put the ho-ho-ho on Christmas and the ha-ha-ha on Hanukkah. Come on.
Why does that sound so familiar?
Wah, Santa, I need a changin'.
Oy vey, not again.
Oy vey. Santa, are you Jewish?
Of course I am. You see, I put the ho-ho-ho in Christmas and the ha-ha-ha in Hanukkah.
But the character he does play and has more time in the season is Artie. And for those who don't know, this is Artie.
Movie in the hole.
Well, aside from sending Jonah and the bots to the movies, Artie communicates with Kinga and Max about either issues on Moon 14 or that some of the movie had spilled out, meaning that parts of the film had to be cut for the episode's runtime.
I can show you what's missing. Looks like David Carradine is fighting a giant tentacled monster. Actually, pretty cool. Maybe could have saved the whole movie.
When the season gets to the last 4 episodes, it starts to have a small storyline. Now, MST3K in storylines isn't a new concept. They've had this before when the show transitioned over to the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm going to put a spoiler warning here because I'm not sure if many have seen this season yet due to not having either a Netflix account or on home video. So, skip to this time code. I'll give you a few seconds. Actually, some development started in the 4th episode. It's pretty much Max having a crush on Kinga, but when he's hitting on her in a subtle way, she turns him down every time.
Kinga, I had a dream about you last night.
Oh, remember when I asked you to tell me your innermost thoughts and dreams?
No.
Exactly.
When Max is writing in his diary, he remembers that he found some type of key, and when he turns it into the keyhole, out comes a metallic worm monster named, appropriately, Reptilicus Metallicus. Kinga is still worried about the show's ratings, so she gets the idea to throw a wedding, and the unlucky man is Jonah.
Jonah?
Jonah.
Jonah?
Jonah.
Jonah?
Jonah!
Thus, the day is here where Kinga and Jonah will be together in unholy matrimony. Pearl, Bobo, Brain Guy, and a shit ton of observers are there, some of them being Kickstarter backers. But before Jonah can say I do against his will, Max unleashes Metallicus on him as we see Jonah being eaten alive, which makes Kinga not very happy.
Max! You killed our test subject! This is no way to end a season! Oh! I am so pissed at you right now! Ugh.
But as the season ends with all of us left speechless, we see a man walking on the side of the satellite of love. A lot of people were quick to guess that it was actually Jonah. As shown in the later episodes, he was making a spacesuit so he could go on a spacewalk. You might be wondering, how is he alive? Well, a lot of people have made theories on this, but the one I'm leaning towards is that Jonah used the cloning machine that Crow had totally off camera in the Reptilicus episode. Thus, the clone Jonah, or Clona for short, was the one that got eaten, and Jonah was able to finally have his spacewalk. Then again, that's just me guessing. Keep in mind that by the time I'm making this video, I have not seen season 12, so maybe this was the explanation they went with. But hey, that's just a theory. A MST3K theory! Now this is around the time that people have skipped the spoiler warning, so let's talk about some of the smaller stuff from the season that's really good. A little over the second half of the season, Jonah decides to make 2 new robots, Waverly and Growler. Now don't worry, they don't riff the movies. They were more for the host segments, and were only there for a little bit. Growler plays the piano like Ralph the dog. As for Waverly... Oh, wow. But it was nice knowing him. Okay, to be fair, we do see them more in the new comic book, and we'll be seeing them more according to the still from season 12. As for the music for this season, good lord, the soundtrack is just phenomenal. The new theme song is incredible despite not being sung by the hosts like Joel or Mike's. They do have original songs like Every Country Has a Monster, Our Love Is on Wings You Can't See, Push Past the Hurting, The Magic Inside of You, etc. But the majority is covers of songs from MST past like Wild Rebels, The Canada Song, Cloud in the Sky, and... Is that Let's Have a Patrick Swayze Christmas? Like everything else in the season, I had the dumbest smile on my face, and this is one of many reasons why. And the last song to mention is the new rendition of Mighty Science Theater, which is the music for the ending credits. This version is just beautiful. I like the soundtrack so much that not only did I get it on iTunes, but also on vinyl record. I don't have a record player yet, but it's still cool to show off nonetheless. Before we go to my obvious final thoughts, I figure I put the episodes in order to which ones I like more. Number 14, The Land That Time Forgot. This one is the lowest due to me not remembering this episode that much. No joke, I keep forgetting that they did this movie every time I watch the season. Number 13, At the Earth's Core. Very meh movie, some good jokes here and there, but man, the ending of this episode. Number 12, The Loves of Hercules. Another one to add to the amount of films the SOL crew have done on the Roman god. Number 11, Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2. A movie that was able to get under my skin for some reason I still don't know why. Number 10, Wizards of the Lost Kingdom. A sword and sorcery movie with a drunk warrior, a young wizard, a walking carpet, and Thom Christopher from Deathstalker.
Damn him! He has beaten me this time, Bobino!
Apparently he won an Emmy. Number 9, The Time Travelers. Well, Kinga was right about this. This movie is slow despite it being an hour and 22 minutes. Number 8, Star Crash. You know, maybe it's just me, but I think this was supposed to capitalize on Star Wars. Also, BB Servo was pretty damn cute. Number 7, Cry Wilderness. A movie in the great outdoors with stock footage, bizarre dialogue that sounded like it was dubbed over, and an incomplete Bigfoot costume. Number 6, Avalanche. A disaster comes to ruin a ski resort. About 50 minutes in. But at least we have Rock Hudson forcing kisses on Fiamero, drunk old women, and Danny from the Time Travelers. Number 5, Yonggary. Another giant Japanese monster movie that MST3K has done. I haven't seen neither of the Godzilla or Gamera films that were showcased, but if they're as hilarious like this episode, I'll give them a watch. Number 4, Carnival Magic. Markov the Magician and his monkey Alex, sweet freedom, take part of a carnival that looks kinda depressing, but at least we all learned the true power of Gus. Number 3, The Christmas That Almost Wasn't. You would never think that there would be a Christmas movie that has Santa needing to pay rent, or else the holiday would be gone forever. But hey, this episode is still able to give me that warm Christmas feeling inside. Number 2, Reptilicus. Even though this is my favorite episode of MST3K as a whole, I still have some gripes with it, which was one of my issues with the earlier episodes of the season. But I think my number 1 is where it gets better, and that of course being The Beast of Hollow Mountain. This is where the season starts getting good, fixes those issues, and gets to a more natural pace with the riffs. Not to mention that this whole episode is really damn funny. And there was my ranking for the episodes. So, overall, what did I think of Mystery Science Theater 3000 Season 11? Well, if you don't know by now. This whole season was just freaking amazing. Sure, it does have some flaws, but those were able to get fixed halfway through. The actors are great, the puppet work is amazing, the riffs are still funny, and the set design is still the same way it was before, but on a larger scale. This season was received so well that by the end of the 2017 Turkey Day Marathon, Joel announced that it was renewed for another season. Like I said before, by the time I'm making this, I haven't watched it yet. Well, that's the end of MST3K week. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. This is my biggest project that I've wanted to do for the 30th anniversary, and I think I did pretty good. So, if you guys would like me to do more of this next year, let me know. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to relax and get ready for Season 12. But until then, I'll see you next time.
Oh, great. Pretty good. What do you think?
It stinks.